soft when you're going to war. We've got a long way to go, right? But it's just day one. We'll get there.
All right, y'all. Welcome back and happy Sunday. My name is Bull, and this is the Bluechip Breakdown. Thank y'all so much for joining us today. I hope that y'all's weekend has been going great. Mine's been good. It's a whole lot of snow. You know what I'm saying? Well, some of y'all got a lot more snow than we did here, but for us, this is a lot of snow. I think I probably got about 1.5 inches worth of snow, something like that. It's already starting to melt, so that's a very positive thing. The infrastructure here just really isn't set up for all of that. But I hope that y'all are being safe. Again, man, appreciate y'all for joining us. Once y'all get in here, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Helps us to grow, keeps us growing, keeps us moving. Today's topic is going to be Tennessee's quarterback room for 2026. I'm talking about Joey Aguilar versus George MacIntyre, because heading into things before the kind of like changes with the Joey Aguilar situation, which he hasn't been granted his extra year, y'all, but I think that he's probably going to end up getting it. But heading into things, it was like George MacIntyre versus Ryan Staub and versus a true freshman, Faison Brandon. So it was a pretty good looking quarterback room on paper, especially for those freshmen. They are young, but very, very talented. I really kind of like Ryan Staub. Now, I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. I don't think that he's horrible. You know, he is a backup, but I like him as a backup. But now with Joey kind of like taking his name out of that class action lawsuit, and he's probably about to put it into his own individual lawsuit, I think that he's got a really good shot to actually get that extra year. Now, I'm not a lawyer, okay? I don't know a lot of things about law, right? I'm just telling you based off of some of the research that I've done and the people who actually won their cases. It was a lot of the things that they like that their argument was is probably what Joey's is going to end up being. If it's an antitrust violation, if you can pinpoint it to just antitrust, if you focus on that, and if you have an individualized case, if you go to court in the state that you're playing in, especially in your university's district, you have a really good shot to find favor with the court system. And I think that's what Joe's going to end up doing. So the question is, who's Tennessee going to be better off with in 2026? Is it Joey Aguilar or is it going to be George MacIntyre? Just kind of like out of those two. Obviously, we do have other options that we just kind of named out for y'all. So at this point, the poll is literally split down the middle 50-50. 50% like Joey, 50% like G-Mac. And I'm not mad at it. I'm not going to do a whole bunch of arguing. I just want to get y'all's thoughts more than anything else. So let me tap into this chat. We will be getting to the super chats and the members first. But this one from Chatsworth. What's going on, bro? Saying Vols, you already know. And this one from Andros, going on, bro, saying give me G-Mac. He's going to be more accurate and his legs will keep drives alive. All right. What else do we got in here? This one is from Sam's, going on Sam, saying get rid of the Lady Vol basketball team and spend the money on football. Shameful game today, but go Vols. It is frustrating when the teams lose. This is my thing, though. Obviously, football season is, I guess, technically over with, but for me, it's always football season. Baseball, basketball, y'all, it's about getting into the tournament and getting hot at the right time. You can lose a bunch of games and still make it to the tournament. It doesn't matter. Like, you could go undefeated for the first 75% of the year. And if you're playing poorly heading into the tournament, none of that even matters. See what I'm saying? Like, that's the way that I look at it. So I don't get upset when any of those teams necessarily, I mean, of course I don't like to lose, but it's not like a huge deal. Now, when the football team loses, that messes my whole week up. You know, if we lose versus the wrong team, I don't want to say it'll mess my whole year up because it shouldn't mean that much to me, but I'll just keep it real. It kind of does. Losing to Georgia, that's messed me up for a long time. I haven't been quite the same for a very long time. So, yeah, it's just different for me. All right, so this one is from John. What's going on, John? Saying high floor with Joey, higher ceiling with G-Mac. I like that, man. I like that. All right, so I'm going to get to this one, then we're going to go ahead and jump into things. This one is from Ian. Ian is saying that if Joey gets approved for this year, will he try and get another year after the 26th season? I wouldn't be surprised. Well, if he does get approved this season, he couldn't get another one after. I mean, well, I don't think that he could. See, this is what I think his argument is going to end up being. We talked about it some yesterday. I think that he'll say, well, the JUCO years should not have counted because I couldn't make any real money off of my name, image, and likeness playing JUCO football. So my clock actually started once I hit D1, which was in 2023. So he would technically have played three seasons that will have counted if his argument goes through. I don't know that it will be his argument, but to me, that's probably going to end up being the best argument. Just, of course, I'm very ignorant to how the court system and laws and stuff work. But he would probably only be able to get one more year. Now, keep in mind, he played in 2025 based off of the Pavia rule, which that has something to do with like JUCO. But there's some things within the wording that does separate what Joey's argument could be versus what Pavia's was. You know what I'm saying? Like there are some separations. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into it, man. These are my positives for Joey Aguilar if he does come back. Number one, I think that he's a tough, gritty leader. You know what I'm saying? Obviously knows his football team very well. He played, I don't know how much of the season, but was it his shoulder or was it something in his ribs? He had like a growth or something like that. That sounds like it was very painful, but he played through that. He's tough as far as running through contact or taking big shots. Isn't typically injured. I don't know if he even has much of an injury history. So that's obviously very, very positive, but knows the team. So he could step in as a leader pretty easily. You know, he was a leader last season. So maybe could take a step forward from that standpoint, even better than what it was last year, which I don't think that he had any problems being that leader. But next, I would say experience as an SEC starter. You know, it is different, not just physically, but also mentally, not just on the field, but off the field, having to deal with, you know, loud mouths like me getting up here and talking about you. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's good or bad, you have to be able to stay even keeled and just stay focused and do what you got to do. So there's a lot of things that come with it, again, on and off the field, that Joey would be a lot more acclimated to doing, being an older guy, being a veteran in football, in college football, but even more so in this conference. And then we've got the current system, what we ran in 2025. He knows that system. He played in it over the course of the year. You know, came in late, but figured things out. So he would get a leg up from that standpoint. And then I think that he's an excellent deep ball thrower. And we actually put a video out for our members earlier today, breaking him down versus Mississippi State. That's one of the things that I talked about. I think that, like, as far as the deep shots, like those bucket shots that you'll see, they used to do it back in the Pro Bowl where the quarterbacks try to drop the football into a bucket. I think that he would be really good at that drill. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would do excellent at it. So very good from all those standpoints. Now, let me move forward and talk about some of the negatives. This is just the way that I see things, okay? And I will be more than happy to get y'all's thoughts on the positives and on the negatives, because I'm sure that y'all see things differently than how I see it, and that's perfectly fine. But number one for me is he has really bad habits, okay? He turns the football over a lot. Going back to the film breakdown that we put out for our members on YouTube and on Patreon, we've talked about this since we started watching him at App State. If he feels pressure, he goes to really bad habits where he's throwing off of his back foot, and he's typically throwing the football into harm's way. He's not taking care of the football. He's not extending plays as much as he should in those situations, even as a veteran. I don't think that he fully has gotten out of that. I don't know that he ever will fully get out of that, because he is an older guy. Might be more set, older relative to like football. Might be more like kind of set in his ways. I felt like maybe the staff could get him out of he was at double digits at App State both years. I think 14 one year, maybe like 11 the other year. 14 was in his second season with App State. So I said, okay, I think that the staff can get him out of about half of that, somewhere in that ballpark. All right, so maybe 8 interceptions. Okay, he ends up throwing 10? So he went over even what I thought that he would do as far as interceptions. Now, I know that some of those bounced off people. We always talk about it, but it just is what it is, and we actually took a look at 2 of those interceptions earlier today. One of them, it bounced off of Miles Kitselman, but it was a dangerous pass either way. Probably, really, both of them were kind of dangerous. Probably shouldn't have made either one of those throws. So, yes, that scares the hell out of me a lot, because you just can't have bad turnovers, man. If we can play ball control, if we have an outstanding defense, and we have an outstanding running game, the only thing that could kill that is turning the football over, just being bad with it. That could kill the whole thing. So next, if he does come back, y'all, he probably wouldn't be back until like summertime, because he's not taking classes right now. So if he's not enrolled in classes at this point, I don't believe that he could go through spring practice, which, if I'm not mistaken, starts either next month or the month after that. I think that they're doing it after spring break this season, so might be a little bit later than what it typically is. Either way, if he can't come back till whatever, after May, so June, like one of those summer portions, then it's the exact same situation that he came into last year, where he misses the whole offseason and might not make a huge deal if he knows the system, if we stick to that system from last year. But what I've shown y'all is that Tennessee, if we want to win a national championship, we have to move more to pro style. So we have to make a lot of changes. He would miss probably all of those changes from a physical standpoint. Now, you can still do Zoom calls. I don't think that legally you're supposed to, but we don't live inside of a vacuum. Like we know that the staff will get him the proper information so that he can study on his own time. But there's nothing better than actually getting in those physical reps. But either way, I think that means that our, especially passing scheme, but overall offensive scheme will be limited moving forward if he comes back. It will be limited to what it was last season, which, yeah, we put up some good numbers, but did we make it to the college football playoffs? It's not just for the offense, it's for the whole team. It's a three-phase game, but we have to make the upgrades if we want to make it to the playoffs. The only way that we could make it with that exact same offensive system is if we have by far the best, the most talented roster in the whole country. We all know that that's not the case. All right. So I think that could be very hurtful for our chances to make the college football playoffs. And then last thing, it's going to have an impact on our running game, on our defense. Actually, there's two more. But running game and defense will suffer from that, or there's more pressure on them. Because if the passing game is like 2024, where everyone knows what you're doing and you have no counters to it, and you can't really throw the football effectively down the field, then you have to be able to play outstanding defense and have an outstanding running game. So, I mean, first year is the DC for Coach Knowles, bringing a whole lot of players. He's got some of his coaches on staff. I think the defense is going to be good. Will it be top 5, right? Will the running game be like top 3? I don't know. It's possible. But after that, of course, there's a chance that we could lose GMAC or Faison moving forward. Not for this year, but for the 2027 year. So those are kind of like what my negatives are. And let me tap into the chat because I see there's several things coming in. Y'all going to have to bear with me, man, because my screen is crazy. Okay, so this is the next one that we got. This one is from Henry. Henry saying that, so he had a tumor in his arm. Thank you for that, Henry. I knew it was something like that. I wasn't quite sure. But thank you for that. I know that the tumor was not cancerous. That's what I think I read. So next, from John saying it might be possible to sign up for a graduate course late. Okay, that's a good point. Also, there's got to be a way to have practice without being at practice. Yeah, so I don't know if you could do that legally. Don't let me get the line like I know how all the rules work, because they change from like year to year. But when I was in school, if you weren't, you had to be literally part of the team to get any type of information. You couldn't get anything unless you were part of the team. Now they could, I guess, like if you're coming up out of high school, they could send you some stuff. Like when I was coming up, it was like workouts and little things. Did they send me a playbook? Might have sent me like a playbook, but I was on defense, so the playbook wasn't. It was not huge. But either way, the whole point is I'm not sure how all that works. It really doesn't matter to me. I think that the coaching staff, if they had to be quiet about it, hush hush, they'll still get it to them if they feel like, hey, Joey, sounds like you got a really good shot. We're going to get you as much information as we possibly can. I think that that's possible. Okay, what else do we got? I'm going to get to some more while we're taking this quick little break. Okay, so this one is from Einster saying, if Joey comes back, is there really a question who starts? Come on, y'all. As far as starting, no, there is absolutely no question. Joey will start if he comes back. That's not what the question is. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is, who is Tennessee better off with? That's what I'm asking. Because yeah, him coming back, there will be no quarterback competition, as much as they try to frame it that way. It wasn't really one last year, because if it was one, then George actually would have won, because he was winning over the course of the preseason, right? So yeah, that's just what it is, and you get stuck. That's kind of like what some of the negatives are. We're stuck with some of these negatives. All right, so this one is from Chatsworth. Thank you so much for that, Chatsworth. Appreciate you, bro. What's the next one? Okay, so this one is from Slim Jim, saying that Joey used to run so slow for the first down that I would jump up and try to pump my legs and run for him and push that energy through the TV to make him run fast. Hey, I do that type of stuff all the time. Like, even if I'm playing like video games and stuff with my nephews or any of that, like when I'm hitting people, I hit like hard and I'm moving my whole body, but I do the same thing watching the ball game. So Jimmy, you're not the only one. All right, so moving this thing forward. Let's just kind of like line these guys up. Joey Aguilar versus George MacIntyre. So for Joey, and I think that John said this exact same thing. I think that he has a high floor with a lower ceiling. I think that his ceiling is capped. I think that the entire offense, the whole team, has a cap on it. If Joey comes back, that's just the way that I see it at this point. Now I'm going through, I'm rewatching a bunch of film, looking at a whole bunch of numbers, ton of stats, and just seeing like what some of the trends are for the Tennessee offense, for Joey as an individual quarterback versus the other quarterbacks from the start of the year to the end of the year. Is there a constant trend from just the scheme, or is there something that separates Joey and all of that? So I'm still a little bit early in that process. My overall feelings might change as we get deeper into it, but I did want to point that out. So I think that he's like boom or bust on most plays because he is a gunslinger. Think about a Brett Favre. I'm not saying that he is Brett Favre, but that's the easiest name for us to throw out. It's maybe overused because there's a lot of other gunslingers. But for me, Brett Favre fits more of like the Joey Aguilar. Actually, the one that I used before was Tony Romo. I think that Joey Aguilar, well, he's probably a little bit more turnover prone than Tony Romo was. But as far as being unlucky, as far as having a whole lot of good traits and tools, and in some of the more critical moments, kind of, like what the heck happened here? I would make that correlation of Joey and Tony Romo. And I love Tony Romo, y'all. He's one of my favorite NFL quarterbacks. I put him right up there. He's probably in my overall top 5, just like my favorite. I'm not saying that he's like one of the best or any of that. I just used to love to watch him play. So I like watching Joey play too. It's just not as high of a ceiling for Joey as it was for Tony Romo. But everything else, y'all, I think that he's like an adequate runner. Jimmy, he was just talking about that. He's not the fastest guy, but he has some savviness to the way that he runs. He can scamper. He can run through contact. He's a little bit of a thicker guy, 6'3", about 230, something like that. So I think that that's positive. And then, again, durable. So all those things work, I would say, in kind of like Joey's favor, or most of them do. So now, George. For George, I would say it's the opposite. His floor could potentially be low, but we know that his ceiling is super high. Super, super, super high. Higher ceiling than what Joey has, but maybe lower floor. Now, as far as his like operations, I think he's going to be a lot more consistent. If he's good, then he's going to consistently be good. If he's bad, he might consistently be bad. But like I just said, we haven't seen him play that much to really know how he's going to translate to this level per se, not in a live game situation. Not a whole lot. But he will get better. We know that more than likely he's going to get better from the start of the year to the end of the year. And we'll take a look at the schedule too. But yeah, moving on. I think that he's going to be a better runner than Joey Aguilar is. He is faster than Joey Aguilar. Now, he is very thin at this point. He is working on gaining the weight. I'm sure that he will. We got a new strength coach. That's why we started off with him. A lot of these offseason videos is going to be Derek Owings talking about us going to war and not being soft. That goes for every single body in the whole organization. Okay? But yeah, there are some questions, not so much for me, but a lot of people have questions about, can he withstand the potential beating that you take over the course of a gauntlet season, 9 SEC games? Can he withstand that? So that's what we're talking about. All right, so I'm going to leave that up, and I'm going to get to some more of these chats. I see that there's more coming in. Appreciate y'all so much for just for adding to the conversation, and we are going to try to get to everybody. Actually, real quick, let me tap back into the poll, see if these numbers have changed up any. So right now we actually have 56% for GMAC and 44% for Joey Aguilar. I'm actually pretty surprised. There's some people that probably aren't voting because I think that there's a lot more people that would be in favor of Joey Aguilar being our starter, because I see that everywhere. So Henry saying that he thinks that Joey might be able to produce more overall than Faison or GMAC, but I feel like either of those guys would be better playmakers with less turnovers, especially in big games. I think that's a really good way for you to kind of like quantify that, because he might put up better overall numbers, which, look, I think that it's cool to put up good numbers, y'all. I think that that's great. It was more important for me in 21 and 22 for this team, because we had to get in the proper pieces for us to get to the point that we should be at right now, which is, hey, every year it's college football playoffs and we're fighting for the national championship. That's what that works for me. It doesn't mean a whole lot for you to put up a bunch of great regular season stats, not for the team, and we are 8-5. See what I'm saying? So yeah, Henry, to your point, what does that matter if you're turning it over when it counts? And I'm not just picking on Joey when I say this. It goes for anybody. It goes for whoever's dropping passes, whoever's missing blocks, whoever's missing tackles, all of that, man. Like, what have you done for me lately, and what are you doing when it counts the most? That's what matters. All right. What else do we got? Dude, do we have any more members chiming in? Like I said, y'all gonna have to bear with me because my screen these days it's all over the place. But we working on getting it back right. Okay. So Lamone's is saying he's got to say Joey because of experience. I'm not mad at that. I understand it. And Jimmy is saying, I remember to the last scrimmage, yep, that they were saying that George was playing way better with the tools, and then the propaganda kicked in. Yep. And I think that's a perfect way to say it. That's the way that I look at it. Same thing. And Daniel's saying that I'm a little concerned about George's lack of experience in reading defenses. Hype has started true freshmen in the past and got them prepared. So Hype has started true what true freshman has he started? So obviously that wouldn't have been at Tennessee. Maybe he's done it at some other places. So yeah, I totally get that argument about how is he gonna adjust to the structures of the defense on this level? We really don't fully know. All that we could go off of is what he was doing in practice. And as Jimmy said, man, George was the guy. He was operating better. Yes, it was with the tools, but even still, you know what I'm saying? Like, that really should not be happening. He's a true freshman. Most of the guys that he's going up against were older players, were veterans. That was a college defense that he's facing, right? And a lot of those young guys on our defense played a ton for us. Okay, so I'm just saying all those things just to say that I feel like George could probably get it done, maybe on a little bit of a higher level. We'll see as we go through some more of these film breakdowns for our members. So Quez is saying that, thank you so much for that, bro. Yeah, I really do appreciate that. I'm happy that y'all like it. So this one from VBF90 saying to give me Joey all day, but give G-Mac every rep possible. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Obviously, if he's the second string guy, his reps will be limited as far as practice situations. So this one is from Joey Pinion saying, I want G-Mac over Joey. Really? So is Joey Pinion, is Joey your first name? Like, is that your name, or is that like a playoff of Joey Aguilar? Because that's pretty interesting that you said that you want G-Mac over Joey if you do have this username based off of Joey Aguilar. But saying that the reason being is that with reps and experience, he will be way better than Joey is now. That's kind of where I'm at overall. Brian, what's going on, Brian? He says that he doesn't feel like the season we were 8-5, it was because of Joey. Give him an adequate defense, and maybe that changes the play calling. Well, yeah, I think that that's true. It's not on football, and of course, Brian, you know this just as well as anybody does. Football is an ultimate team sport. You can never blame everything on just one side of the football or on just one player. Well, I'm never say never, because sometimes maybe you could, but I don't think that was a situation for us last season. There was a lot of things that went wrong. Starts at the top. I think it started in the preseason. But I would also say this. Tennessee's offense, it does not help our defense out. And I think that we all know that, right? So for us to help our defense out from an offensive standpoint, we've got to do more of what we did in 2024, which is slow things down and get the defense off the field. Like, let them rest more, let them kind of like change things up more. And the only, or not the only way, but the main way, probably the best way for us to do that is to go to more pro-style elements to make several changes to our system. It would probably be difficult to do that if your starting quarterback isn't at practice for most of the offseason. Well, I'm not going to call it, yeah, I would say that's most of the offseason. He's not going to be at practice. He's not going to be at the installs physically. He could do some of the like mental work and all of that. Now, this is obviously just how the quarterback room looks without Joey Aguilar. I want for y'all to take a look at this now because we looked at the previous graphic for long enough. MG Ways, going on, bro? Just got done watching the last Joey film, and I don't know if Hypo is willing to take the risks associated with rolling out George MacIntyre and making the changes to the system. Now, you could be right on that too. Again, we're just not sure how all this is going to play out because we don't 100% know how is George MacIntyre going to look. How is he going to take in all this information? How does he process it? How does he handle it in like real life reps? But I do feel like, I don't know, and maybe I'm reaching, y'all. Maybe I'm reaching, but I do feel like George would be better suited to operate in more of a pro style system than probably Joey would be, because in a pro style system, yeah, you have to take the risk, but you really got to take care of the football. The windows will be tighter on some of those throws. And you have to be smart with how you take care of the ball. Now, can Joey get out of some of that? I think so, but we talked about it. Probably not. Probably not most of it. Most of it is that's just who he is, right? Like again, going back to Brett Favre, he didn't stop throwing interceptions as he got older. You know what I'm saying? Like he still threw probably just as many interceptions as he did when he was younger. That's just who he is. All right. So Brian is saying that if those number 2 on D could not beat out some of those ones, that makes me question how good of a D he was actually facing. Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, too, who did he have on his side of the football on offense, right? Like, if those, think about some of the people that we had starting on offense, you know? Obviously, everything is always going to be relative. So he had probably a pretty comparable amount of talent that he's working with versus the defense, the same thing that Joey had. Yeah, Joey's going up against ones, but he's also playing with the ones. So that's the way that I look at it. And I don't feel like it was just within scrimmage settings either. It was with routes on air. You know, like a lot of that, and y'all can go back, like we got all them videos. We'll go through, we'll cut up every single like clip from every outlet of every practice. It's all out there. So like whatever they showed of the quarterbacks, y'all can see it. You know, it's all still there. And what you will see is that the most consistent thrower was still George. You know, again, on air. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time throwing to the younger guys, you know, freshmen and things like that. But I most definitely feel that point. And all that we can say is we shall see how things play out. It's not going to be a real competition if Joey comes back. So, and I don't think that you know, some of the insiders will even push out, oh, hey, you know, George looks better than Joey. I don't think that we'll hear that again. I don't think that they'll even like tell us that. But if I hear it, of course, I'm going to let y'all know. All right. So next one is from Joey saying he started Milton and Gabriel at Central Florida as true freshmen. Okay. Did not know that. Did not know that. Okay. All right. So Joey is your name. Cool. Let me get to this one right here, and then we're going to move forward. All right. So this one is from Jonah. What's going on, Jonah? Saying, seems like I remember George looking like the game is still too fast for him. Looks scared maybe, but I like what we have with George and Brandon. Give me Joey one more year. So when did you see George looking like the game was too fast for him? Was that in the orange and white game? Because we've also gone through those clips. I didn't see the same thing. Personally, I did not see the same thing. To me, George looked better than Merck did. You know, I thought that he looked really good. His processing was quick. Whatever he was doing, it was boom, 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 done. Okay, so let me move this thing forward. This is the schedule. I just wanted to bring this up so that y'all could keep in mind what we're going to be facing and why I think it is so important for us to make the necessary changes to this offense. Because, like I touched on earlier, I feel like it could be a lot like the 2024 season where, okay, you know, Heupel's offense worked very well from 2021 to 2022. 2023 took a step back. Team started to figure us out. We tried to make some changes. The changes that we tried to make weren't necessarily great. Wasn't working out well. The level of talent everywhere wasn't as good as it should have been either. But then, you know, you fast forward to 2024, and it was like, okay, teams have fully figured out what we're doing, and we can't even throw the football down the field. And almost everything that we did, and man, P and I was talking about this yesterday, or, you know, one of these days here recently. And it was just like, man, it was a miracle. Like everything that we got done down the field was a daggone miracle. And if you don't believe that, we put out all of our dropbacks in our playoff game versus the Buckeyes, and y'all can tell me how those windows look for yourself. Okay, like the windows that we're throwing into, they were pretty much all NFL windows, every single one of them, most of them. Anyway, I'll say well over 80%. It was super tight stuff. So saying all that just to say that the limitations that we had in 2025 more towards like the end of the year, they could be even more pronounced in 2026 if we don't make the changes. The schedule's gotten a lot tougher. It's a lot of probably good defenses. Texas is probably going to be good. You know, like their offense and defense probably going to be good, right? Georgia Tech is probably going to be pretty solid. It's not going to be easy. Auburn, they've got the same DC. Lost some players, gained a few players. Their defense is probably going to end up being good. Arkansas, I have no idea. Right? Alabama, their defense is probably going to be pretty solid. I think that they lost a whole lot of things, but we shall see. South Carolina lost some things, but they typically have just dudes. I don't know where they find these big juggernaut guys from, but they always have guys that are, you know, huge, like, you know, that wide receiver. How are you 6'5", 240, and you run like a 4.240? How does that happen, right? and and why isn't he putting up more numbers? He's like Calvin Johnson type metrics, which is astronomical. But yeah, they're going to have dudes on defense too. Already know that. Kentucky, we'll see. Really couldn't tell you. A&M, of course, their defense is going to be really good. LSU, I think their defense is also going to be good. Vanderbilt, their defense gave us trouble last season in 2025. Will that happen again? It could if we don't make any changes, right? So this is why I'm saying I don't think that you want to roll back into next year with the same offensive scheme. You always have to tweak. Coach Heupel has done a good job of making some tweaks pretty much every single year, and we'll show y'all that right here. It's not showing you every single thing that he's done, but you can see, yeah, every year. And the only thing that it's not really kind of like separated is 21 and 22. I've got that as pretty much like one thing. But he made some tweaks from 21 to 22. He's going to make some, but will it be like 2024 to 2025 where it's an overhaul? I think that's really what Tennessee needs and what we want to do. Okay? I think that that's going to be necessary. All right, so I hope that I didn't miss anything. Okay, yeah, I don't think that I missed anything. All right, so John is saying that he wonders how much of Joey's mistakes offset GMAC's first-year starter mistakes and ups and downs. I do like Joey's leadership in long ball. Maybe one more year helps Joey. I think that it is fair to say that Joey should get better one more year with us. Just how much better, I don't think it's going to be like, I don't think it's going to be a whole lot better. I think that he can get slightly better at certain things. But yeah, it's a good point because George is going to make some like first year starter mistakes. That's part of it. But I would have to push back. I don't know. I don't think that he's going to make the same type of first year starter mistakes as like Joey's typical stuff. And the reason that I'm saying it is because I know that the system has already started to change. But if you go back to 2024, we didn't throw this many interceptions. We didn't have this many turnovers as what Joey had last year. In all honesty, the way that the system was set up, where it's brand new to the whole league, no one really knows what you're doing, especially to kind of like start things off. We should have had even less interceptions. That's just the way that I look at it. Should not have had as many as we did because we had a lot of people wide open. Members, y'all just saw what we did versus Mississippi State. Okay, we every single passing play, every single drop back, except for most of the screens. It was one play that wasn't technically a screen play, but I had to put that in there just because I love that play call. But yeah, y'all saw. Typically, there were people open, So, interesting thought. I don't know. I mean, I guess I had to push back on it. We shall see. We shall see. So next, this one is from Henry saying that Joey has confidence almost to a fault. He's not afraid to throw anything. Yeah. And I actually like that about him. I actually like that he's got the gunslinger. So sometimes that's good, but it was costly on the goal line versus Bama in an Oklahoma game. I don't think that that's going to change. Yeah. I had to put that Bama pick. I put that a lot more on the staff. Like, why would you take the time out and call that play? But at the same time, as a quarterback, you've got to, if something is wrong, you got to, I mean, I don't know how much freedom he actually had, but you would hope that he has a little bit of freedom to not just throw it to like one specified person, not in that situation. But yeah, those things are definitely tough. Let me see what else we got as far as members go. Try to get to y'all first. All right, so MG Way saying, good question from VBF90. I think that the politics of NIL and seniority were a factor. I guess I got to get back to that one from VB90. Let me make sure that I'm getting, okay, I think maybe it was this one. Also saying that, my thing is if George was winning out in the quarterback battle, how did he wind up being that's it? Yeah, okay, so MG Way said it. That's exactly how it goes, and it happens like that a lot more than what you might think. There's been so many situations where you've got one, whatever player, quarterback, doesn't matter, that's actually better than the guy that's starting over him, but the coaches go at the veteran, which I disagree with. One of the things that Nick Saban did a great job of, hate to say, but one of the things that Kirby Smart also does a good job of, really just like any championship caliber coach, they're going to play the best players. All that other stuff doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Now, look, if Joey was able to come here and it's a real open competition, y'all, that would be such a beautiful thing because this quarterback room would be loaded. It would be really, really good, at least like on paper from a talent standpoint, Let me get to this other one right here. Make sure that I might have skipped over one or two. I hope that I didn't. But this one from Joey saying the Hype needs 2 fill starter rotations on defense if he wants to keep up the fast pace. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if that would probably help, but I don't even know if that would fully solve it. Like, he has to slow things down. Okay. So This one, I think, from Jera. Hope that I'm saying that right. That you don't win 9 to 10 games with the freshman quarterback, not going against upperclassmen quarterbacks at other schools with equal and more talent like we play this year. Have to disagree. Have to disagree with that because it's everyone is different. I mean, I understand. I understand what you're saying, but that's kind of like I'm trying to think of how I can word it. It's just basically like, okay, we just assume that because this is a freshman that they can't get it done. But to the point that John made earlier, you could actually probably say, okay, Joey Aguilar as a whatever, 7th year playing college football as our starting quarterback. He threw more interceptions than our redshirt freshman did. And the redshirt freshman did go win. How many games did we win in 2024, y'all? 10, right? So yeah, that just pretty much kills what you're saying right there. But yeah, it's like Joey Aguilar. I think that some of the mistakes that he makes, you could almost correlate that to a younger player, and I think that that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know what you want to do. It almost feels like you might be better suited just to roll with George. And so I'll pull this back up for those of y'all that might have missed us, going over Tennessee's tempo and some of those things so that y'all can look at this now. All right, so MG Way, love the graphics with all the different stadiums. Yeah, man. Appreciate that, bro. Yeah, on the schedule. Appreciate that. This one from Henry, hoping for a GMAC or Faison, but I'll ride with Joey if he's the guy. Peyton Manning threw a lot of picks too. Yeah, I don't remember him. Did he throw a lot of picks when he was at Tennessee? Maybe he did like his first year. I don't remember him throwing a whole bunch as he got older. I don't. Maybe I'm off on that, but either way, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Of course, we're all gonna ride with whoever the starters are, right? I mean that just is what it is. Like I'm not. I think that it's a kind of like a good situation, maybe either way for us. Also, Henry saying that he's on the same page with me on the Bama play. Yeah, so it was a horrible play call. Hopefully, with the new strength coach, we'll be confident enough to run it. Yeah, man, run the football, get into a heavier personnel, bring in some more offensive linemen so that you can just run the football right at folks. We have to get back to that. I think either way, whether it's Joey or whether it's George or Faison or Staub, you got to be able to run the football in those situations at will. Have to be able to do that. All right, so Matt, what's going on, bro? I don't think that 27 to 28-year-old men should be playing in college ball if Bull thinks Mac has a higher ceiling than Aguilar. I say roll with Mac. Yeah, man. Of course, Joey is older. Yeah, again, this will be his 8th season as a college quarterback. But yeah, I mean, I think that some of those guys probably do need to give the younger players more of a chance. All right, MG Way saying that we should have run the ball on that play. Yep. And we had ran it well the whole drive. Yeah, I think that we probably I need to go back and rewatch it, but it feels like we actually ran the football pretty well for most of that game. Some of those games, man, we just got way too pass happy. I don't like Coach Heupel. He's got to stop doing that. Like in the Oklahoma game, way too pass happy. Okay, so coming back to the poll, it's 54%. Now it's 53% for GMAC and 47 for Joey. So man, it's crazy that it's still more for George than it is for Joey. Okay, so hopefully y'all have had a chance to look at this. It basically, what this is telling you is that Tennessee operates on average at the hyper fast tempo. For the past 2 years, we're actually operating at more up tempo, which is slower. But no teams have won a national championship within the past 10 years operating at the hyper fast tempo. Only one has gone on to win a national championship operating at the up tempo. That was Clemson back in 2016. And their tempo was slower than Tennessee's slowest tempo that we've run so far under Coach Heupel. Y'all can see how everything kind of like matches up in the far right chart there, just as far as where Tennessee's average is or has been up under Heupel versus the national champions for the past 5 years. You just have to slow down. National championship winning teams don't go very fast on offense. You have to be able to slow it down, and not just slow it down, but also emphasize pre-snap movement. You have to be able to change the play at the line of scrimmage. There's a threshold that's in y'all's bottom left. Inside of that chart, the threshold is 50% pre-snap movement. That's what national championship teams have done for the past decade. You're only seeing for the past 5 years, but for the past decade, that has been consistent. Tennessee's operated well under that. You can see in the chart on top of that, just showing like tempo versus pre-snap movement. It's clustered in the top left in that yellow area with the 5 national champions from the past 5 years versus where Tennessee's at. And then the chart to the right shows you how things break down on a year-by-year basis, where Tennessee's at, where the national champions are. these are more pro-style teams, okay? This is why they get better towards the end of the year, and Tennessee's offense typically gets worse. You know, we tend to struggle more. Yes, the schedule does get tougher, but we went through and looked at the numbers for the offense versus our defense. The offense was going backwards. The defense went forward. See what I'm saying? So some of those games probably would have been, some of the games that we lost could have been even worse. Now, it didn't look good in our bowl game. The defense really could never get off the field. But, you know, we also were missing a whole lot of our guys in that game as well. So, yeah, offense, defense, special teams. You have to play complementary football. But it's tough to do it if you're going at a breakneck speed all the time, which is why Tennessee has started to slow it down here over these years. And if we actually go back to this, you can see in the bottom right-hand side where it's showing all the different years in Tennessee's tempo. The only year that we made it to the college football playoffs was our slowest year. All those things correlate. But, yeah, you've got to be more pro-style if you want to win a national. It's pretty much, you don't have to be 100% pro-style, but it's just got to be a lot more than what it has been. Or it's going to be tough unless we have just like an unstoppable juggernaut roster for us to get to the point that we all want to get to. Doesn't really matter who the quarterback is. All right, so Brian is saying that, just for clarification, Mackenzie Milton was a junior when Hype had him. Gabriel was a true freshman. Okay. All right, there it is. All right, thank you for updating that, just because I didn't know those players' ages, but thank you for letting us know. Henry Hines is saying that Trevor Lawrence went undefeated as a true freshman. There it is. And we just talked about, was that the season? So this is 2016. Yeah, I think that the 2016 season is the one that we're actually talking about. That was his true freshman year with Clemson, when they had the basically like fastest tempo to win a national championship in the past decade. But yeah, wasn't the SEC, but he beat Nick Saban in the national championship. Not saying that GMAC, is Trevor Lawrence, but sometimes less film on a guy is a good thing. That's an excellent point. I think that's a great point. Okay, so we'll just move this thing forward and show y'all some more things that that we've highlighted before that Tennessee needs to probably make some changes to. So less RPO, more true play action under center or out of the pistol. That's going to help out. Y'all can see what the championship teams have done as well. So Henry's also saying that sorry for the overload. Oh, man, no, listen, that's perfectly fine, bro. Members, y'all can comment as much as y'all want to. Ready for the season? I am too. It's going to be, it's going to be a really long all season, and I'm not looking forward to it. But, of course, man, we got basketball finishing. I think that the basketball team looked great. We still got baseball, so that'll be fun. Softball, so there's other things that we will talk about on this channel, but we'll probably talk some about football every single week because that's what my love is. All right, so this one going back a little bit earlier, Georgia Tech may be a tough one. Listen, what I was saying is Georgia's defense, and I'm sorry. I don't know if you were, like being funny when you're saying it. I think that Georgia Tech, I think that their defense could be pretty solid. Their offense could also be pretty solid. I think that one actually could be tough. I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be some super tough game, but I don't think it's going to be a pushover game either. I don't personally. All right. So this one is from, so this one might actually say Jared. Okay, so sorry, Jared. So hope that Joey comes back, and if not, it's a transition year, but an exciting transition as 2027 would benefit greatly with Joey having a playoff chance. Yeah, look, I'm just gonna keep it 1,000 with y'all. This is just, and I'm not trying to be negative. It's just how I'm looking at things at this point, and I'm hoping that as I go through more research, my mind will change. I think that if he comes back, I do not see us making it to the college football playoffs. That's just me. I think that the offense is going to be so hamstrung because we can't add, and it's not so much just about Joey himself. It's about him missing so much of the preseason where we need those reps to make the changes. See what I'm saying? Because I think we have to make some, like y'all are looking at it, we got to make some pretty big changes. And I think that if we don't make the changes, the offense is going to be very stagnant. I think that the defense will take several steps forward, but we're asking a lot for a first-year coordinator to come in and be like Tim Banks was in year 4 or whatever. It's not quite that simple, even bringing in all of your players, So that's just where I'm at personally. I think that would limit us a lot. I think it would be very similar to where we were this season. With the tougher schedule, it's a possibility that it could maybe even be worse. That's just where I'm at. I think that it could potentially actually be worse. But hopefully I'm totally wrong on that. If Joey does come back, I'm hoping that we can still make the necessary changes. It's just the schemes that we've been running, even with the changes that we've made, man, once you figure it out, it's pretty much done. Now, it wasn't as simple last season as it was in the previous years where it's just straight up veer and shoot. So what we saw in 2000, especially 24, with what teams did there, where, hey, man, you can just do one set thing and the whole offense starts to stall out. I don't think that you can do that. I think that we'll still be able to find some success, but I don't believe it's even going to be as successful as it was last season, because I don't know how many counters we can have running those types of offenses, right? Like, we had no counters this year. So what I'm saying, like, we added more pro style elements, but there still weren't very many counters. Whenever teams came out with certain looks and did certain things, we were still pretty much stuck. So what I'm saying, you have to be able to still take your shot. You still have to be able to operate the full, kind of like attack the whole field based on the scheme. So that's kind of like what I'm saying, and y'all can see like the overview there. Okay, let me come back down, man. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to get to any more chats, y'all. I did just want to like tap in with y'all and just kind of like go through some of this stuff. I'm just hoping, like I said, as I watch more film, as I go through some more of the kind of like stats and things like that, that I will find a little bit more hope that this offense, that's more of what it is. This offense can produce the way that we would need it to moving forward, without having to make too many changes. So that's kind of where I'm at. But either way, appreciate y'all for joining us as always. And we will be back. We'll be back probably tomorrow. And let me see. Looks like we got another one. Looks like we got another member chiming in. Okay, so John. So yeah, but just to kind of like finish up with my thought, I will be back tomorrow with something, and it'll probably be like another live stream so that we can chop it up with everybody. Try to get it done around lunchtime, so somewhere around noon. But John is saying that for him, it's less about offensive system changes as it's about counters and self-scouting tendencies. The best teams install new plays each week. Yeah, and I think that you could be right. Like, how many counters can we find within our scheme is kind of what I'm saying. I think that, so veer and shoot, it just pretty much is what it is. There really aren't too many counters that you can add onto a veer and shoot that isn't coming from a different system, just because it is so basic. So what I'm saying, now we've added some pro style elements and we can build off of those pro style elements. So maybe that's where some of the counters can come from, but we still have to be able to do more shifts, more audibles at the line of scrimmage. Maybe that's something that Joey can get done mentally. And if that's the case, then I would definitely change my tune, where I say, okay, if we can operate this way, then yeah, I can see Tennessee making it to the college football playoffs. Maybe with either one of those quarterbacks, whether that be Joey Aguilar or George MacIntyre. So I'm going to leave y'all with that little bit of positivity. But again, thank y'all so much. Please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll be talking to y'all around probably noon tomorrow. All right? Thanks. Peace.